Jesus Christ. I think it's take two. Should I slate? Yeah, I should slate. May 1. Action. For the past 4, 5, 6 months, I've been in a complete paradigm shift. In so many ways, it's still shifting. A lot like how the Earth rotates. Incrementally, every single day. That's what it feels like for me. Throughout this whole process of deciding to change some things in my life as a young man, I hope to be the man I can become. My break just ended. I follow the Pomodoro technique to keep in track with my time and staying in focus. As I said, it took a lot of acknowledgement to hoist into the light some things that I do not find that they no longer serve me. I wouldn't say that I've examined and analyzed myself to its full extent, but I'm at a point in my life. I'm at an age and a point in my life where I'm starting to learn to understand who I am. Of course, there are a lot of things that I still need to learn. What time is and how, interlaced I am into that. Like, I don't live apart from it or exempt from it. You see, time was quite a funny concept to me as a younger lad. I used to do all the things that I wanted to do when I wanted to do them. I didn't really understand the essence of accountability and responsibility. And I know I'm rambling right now, but what I'm trying to get at is there are a lot of things that I know, like you, we have like a long list of things to do, chores, responsibilities, and things we want to do that make us happy and we're passionate about. And there's, sometimes that list can accumulate and it can pile up. And there's going to be some days where you feel like you can't really get everything done, or you might convince yourself that there's not enough time. I get it. I understand you. I've been there, and sometimes I still am there. I guess right now the journey that I'm in is trying to figure out how much time is needed, less on composing, how far or how deep or how in you have to be, but it's these quick hacks and these quick fixes and these how-tos and those 101s, and you realize that, we are in the day and age of the information age, and everything can be very overwhelming, to be honest with you. And I look around me. Right now I'm in this space. This is the studio that I've been building for a couple months, and I'm proud to say that, all that I see in that is around me right now are the products and the fruits of my labor. It's humbling, and I come from a very different status in life, and more on that later, who I am and my roots and where I come from. But you have to understand that I led a certain life, very, very much different from the way I do now. I was a lot younger and more reckless. But I think I look around me and I reflect. And I can see all the things that I can improve on, that I can still improve on. And, ultimately I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to creating space and, lengthen the depth of my understanding with myself and who I want to be. I don't want to sound smart anymore. I try to fit in the role. I just want to contribute. I want to take part. I want to participate. And I want to see life and these endeavors, the art forms, my disciplines that I, consistently take part in. I want it to be something in my life that I constantly do, not to fulfill myself, but I want to fulfill my higher self. The fact that I do this symbolizes a very deep, inner stirring inside me that I no longer want to serve myself or my lower self. I want to do this because I want to grow. I want to grow, and I want to ultimately become the best version of who I am. You know, and it's hard, you know? A lot of this is a lot of unlearning and letting go of some things, a lot of ego work, a lot of, battling with yourself. Convince yourself that you're not, living in denial, and then convincing yourself that you are. On the contrary, on paper, it all relatively looks very easy, but there are a lot of these things. There are days that you don't really will ever be able to see. There's blood, literally, and sweat, and tears, and just, real deep work. I think my goal for the next coming week is, I didn't even want to set up the camera in a way. I don't even know if my horizon lines are, aligned and everything. I probably think that, it's not aligned, but I think my path right now is to, I'm at a better place, but I'm at a point where I'm not keeping some of the habits consistent. Therefore, I do see that it may lead to me setting myself up for failure in the future, and that's the least thing I want. So I'm taking this time right now to adjust, the micro and the macro for all the things that I'm doing to consistently build and cultivate the future that I want to live and the life that I want to lead, whether it be emotional, spiritual, financial, physical, and all these other things. That's kind of my path right now. I think this whole week ahead will be a documentation of that, whether it be cleaning the space, the studio, the office, the aquarium, my gear, equipment. These are assets that are very much valuable to my business, and more on that later, what that is. But whether it be reading, cooking, working out, gardening, studying, shooting even, I just want to get it done. There's nothing that beats that feeling inside, that knowing myself and who I am. I like to procrastinate. I do. Because I'm somewhat capable of thinking on my feet. I'm a poet, so I have a play on, have a very good play on handle on words. So I convince myself of a lot of things sometimes to get myself out of things to do or chores. And I guess it's been one of my struggles for the longest time, but I've kind of, been dealt with a fresh set of cards, and I'm learning to understand, how to navigate through that. But sometimes I cram, and ultimately it leads to my demise. So I'm at a point where I've reflected enough to see the effects, the long-term effects of all these things. And I think it's one of the things that I want to work on, these coming weeks. Time management, segregating the workload, organizing how much time goes into what, and how deep do I go into that time. I'm going to be studying and all those other things that I set out to do. Getting my work done as immediately, as fast as possible, as soon as I get them. Right now I'm going to be working on 2 orders, and as soon as I finish that, I'll be able to knock out all the other things that are on my mini lists, and ultimately just get these things done by the weekend and upload weekly, share my progress. I guess, I do want to express that what I'm going to be doing here is, I'm at a crossroads. I'm a filmmaker, Sorry, I'm rambling a lot, and I'm also spitballing. I'm just trying to get everything out. I was planning to write a script, and the script consists of a format where it would probably most likely, take form in bullets, and I just have to knock them out one by one and, flash them onto a prompter in front of me above the camera. But I guess this kind of feels timely and a little bit more organic. So I'll just tell you about everything that I'm doing right now. So yeah, this next week is going to be an amalgamation of all the things that I need to correct and adjust in my daily routine. So you'll see a lot about that, what I do within a day, within the night. It's been crazy, to begin with. I recently moved to the South. I've been living here for around 4 or 5 months now, day in, day out, throughout the pandemic. I've been learning a lot about finance, health, business, a lot about the inner workings of my industry. Luckily enough, I'm able to put into practice and apply the methods that are being taught to us in film school. A lot of the things that I've learned are basically hands-on input about, technical aspects of the craft, but we haven't really got into the business side of things. So this is something that I'm learning proactively and independently. With the help of a little bit of my peers, that we set up a business around earlier this year during the first cycle of the pandemic here in Manila. We set up a production company. We were able to work with different clients and stuff like that. So that was it was fruitful. It lasted while it did, and we continued to pursue our own ventures into our own paths. Because making and creating a company without capital takes a lot of effort, and there's a lot of things that go in that we underestimated. But I did learn as an artist and as an individual. I learned a lot from that process of going to pitches and defending your pitches and meeting with clients, setting budgets, paperwork, contracts, permits, and stuff like that. Which was really fun. Putting yourself out there, especially during the crisis. It gave us a lot of breathing room to see things from a very different perspective, rather than the safe four corners of a classroom setting. And it was a complete paradigm shift. I'm working on the business. You'll see also the nest. It is what I'm passionate about, so it is what I love to do. So it doesn't feel like I'm working when I do it. Apart from that, I'm doing my music. Earlier this year, one of my goals was to finally establish my presence online on Spotify, and my artist name is Outlandish. If you follow me on Twitter, it's Outlandish Manila, because I'm based in Manila. I'm very much underground, and a lot of the music that I do is kind of I treat it as if it's somewhat like my therapist. I never really had the good fortune of having a constant professional to seek out. Rhythm and poetry is one of the ways that I express myself in a constructive manner. Apart from reading a lot about psychology, it's something I'm very passionate about. I guess that's how I see it. That's how my music. If you are interested, I'll provide it in the link below. I appreciate you giving some support. It means, to be honest, it doesn't really matter that much to me if people don't really listen to my music. What matters to me is I'm being honest with who I am and what I feel deep down inside. And it's not just a shout into the wind. A lot of people say these things, but they don't really understand the weight that it bears. And I'm off on a tangent again. Where am I? I'll showcase a lot of things that I've been able to create, some mountains that I've climbed, some hurdles and obstacles that I've been able to circumvent. And I think I'll be hosting a podcast soon with myriad people. I don't really put it in stone, the type of niche or anything, but it's mostly going to be about development and being present, growing out of your shell. That's a lot of this. Even the content here you'll find on YouTube is more so a lot more personal rather than preachy. If the testament of my experiences can serve as a learning instrument for you, or that can inspire something within you to act upon the matter in the same fashion, and it turns out to be good, then I think that makes me feel good inside to know that I can inspire people to be better, because ultimately I think we all do want to be better for ourselves. I know I do. I really do. everybody was going through their own, psychological shifts, and we were all caved into confined spaces with our own homes. So everybody was feeling, and going through their own experiences. I was going through my own. As a creative, I felt very confined, so I needed to leave. Just to cut the long story short, and we could dive into the future a lot more deeper. But basically, I really wanted to go out. I was exhausting all of my creative outlets, and I needed to get out of the house. I wanted to create. I wanted to shoot, make some videos, make some films, work with some brands and some people, and I did. And that's exactly what I did, and that's what we did. And unfortunately, after coming back home, I was no longer allowed to go inside my house, for personal reasons, for health and safety, for my family. And to be honest, I do not regret any decisions that I made during that time. And I think that it's helped me, pushed me into somewhat of a pressure cooker, but I think it was necessary in my time in my life. I am grateful that I was able to go through that experiences and come out alive in one piece. There are a lot of things that represent that change within that period of time in my life. Whether it be the art I was creating, the music. Apart from that, this right here is a manifestation of that. Mind you, this was during the time where people didn't really understand COVID like we do now. We don't. But, at that time the pandemic was still fresh, so everybody's fears were very much at its peak. It was very fascinating to me when I witnessed with my own very eyes that the manifestation materialized. You have to understand that there was this shift inside me that I now possess that I once did not. That I now understand that I have power in my hands to make things be a reality. And that was something that I have been struggling to understand in the past. I felt ultimately powerless. I felt like I had power, but it had limit. And not only did the depth of that power have limits, but also to the extent of where and to whom. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about willpower. I'm talking about drive. I'm talking about work, ability, skill. How would I say it? A lot different from the life that I led in the past. And it's teaching me a lot. Being more mindful and frugal and paying attention to things that I otherwise would have not. So this right here is that right there is a manifestation of that, and it's a constant reminder, and I shoot on it every time. I have I try to do daily, which I should be more persistent and consistent with, but I'm doing this documentary series on the whole experience of COVID, and finally just get it done. You ever got that feeling when you just get it done? Yeah. You have to understand that the hardest thing for me my entire life has always been being honest. I don't know, it's just something I've always struggled with. Even as I'm saying that to you right now, it makes me uneasy. There are a lot of things in my life that I've done that I will never be able to take back. I don't have regrets. I do believe that everything rests firmly in its time and position in everybody's life. And there's a reason for that. I, myself, have been dealt with my own set of circumstances. I almost lost my life 2 years ago. And I just think that it's ironic that life right now has a way of putting my own chess pieces where they lie, where they may. Even when the music crescendos, even if I don't want it to. I miss my family. I miss my little brothers. And most of all, I miss my dad. Over the course of this past year, I've been reflecting a lot, and why I do all of this. I've convinced myself for so long that I've always been wanting to do this for myself, for a better future, for to put myself back through school, to redeem myself. But, as I contemplate right now, I start to see that it's a lot bigger than that. It's much bigger than that. I just want to make up for the mistakes that I've done in the past. To my dad, to my mom. It's hard. But I guess that's the beauty of it, Just try. Every day, just try. I want to be able to see my dad again and tell him that I did it. And, be able to formally invite him to my own wedding. And be able to give him that piece of paper. And buy my mom a house. Help her with her own weight on her shoulders. This is why I do this. Not just for myself, it's for the people I love. My siblings, my nephews, my girlfriend, my parents. All my life I've done things for myself, to self-serve. The hedonist in me just wanted to just take. I didn't want to give. When I gained my life again at the expense of another, everything changed for me ever since then. I hope that this, at the very start of this first anecdote, this first episode, symbolizes that weight. That wherever you are in your life, Joshua, never forget why you started.